For this project, I want to draw a picture of a satellite. You'll need your paper in the landscape direction. If you do it the other way, it'll work, but it'll work better this way. Put your finger in the middle, and then put 3 fingers right above that. Go on this side of your finger and leave a little space. Don't put it right up against your finger, and put a dot. Then jump over your fingers, leave a little space, and put another dot. So now I have 2 dots just like that. I'm going to put a straight up and down line through each of those 2 dots. And I want this to be square. So I'm going to work with that a little bit. I'm going to put a piece across here. Then if I need to make this longer to make it square, I can. Like that. Now, I'm going to come in from the corner a little ways on both sides. And I'm going to put a rainbow shape like this. And then I'm going to come out 1, 2, 3 times. Now, if yours is not exactly like that, don't worry, it'll still work. Black dots, thick black dots at the ends of those lines. And then short line, short line, long line. One more time, and we have 3 antennas. I'm going to double up this line, and I'll just follow the first line, and I'm just going to watch that spacing. I'm going to go very, very carefully like this, and if it's not perfect, it'll be okay. But if you get that spacing the same all the way across there, it will look great. I'm going to put a circle in the middle of that, and then a dot in the middle of the circle. All right. Now I'm going to go just below this corner, and I'm going to put a triangular shape like that, because satellites sometimes need to be repositioned. And so they have these little things called thrusters. And they can put a little bit of power to it, and this thing just makes a little puff, and it'll twist the satellite around. These satellites are taken into orbit usually on rockets. I'm going to go across and make another one over here. Once upon a time, they were taken up, a lot of them were taken up by the space shuttles, different ones, over the years. But we stopped the space shuttle program, and now we just take them up on rockets. There would be 4 of these at least, and maybe more, probably more. But this one is going to be right here, and we're not going to show the triangle part because you're looking straight onto it. It's foreshortened. You're looking onto the end of it. And I doubled that up, but I made some mistakes, so I'm just going to go ahead and fill that in. And here's what I've got so far. Now, if yours is completely different, it's okay, as long as you've got, a few shapes with an antenna here and there. It'll look like a satellite, and you're good to go. A little piece there, and a little piece here. I'm going to come out of the top and bend it down and hook it on like that. Come out of the top, bend it down, and hook it on like that. Now this thing would have wires and tubes running everywhere. I'm going to simplify it some. Okay, let's go to the bottom. And let's come in from the corner and let's go straight up and down from both corners like that. Get it the best you can. If yours is a little different, it's okay. Let's go straight across, maybe a little bit wider than the first shape up here. Let's come down on the corners. And let's make a long, skinny rectangle right there. Now I'm going to go to this corner and I'm going to jump over and I'm going to put another line that's about like this one. And I'm going to go almost to the edge of the paper. I'm going to stop just a little bit short of the edge of the paper. And I have a nice big rectangle. Satellites operate off of batteries, but the batteries would go dead in no time if it weren't for these solar collectors. So that's what we're drawing now. Go to the corner, jump over, make a line that's tall like this one, and then go flat, flat, just like that, out toward the edge. If you run off the edge, it's okay, but it's going to look better if you stop before you get to the edge. Now, I'm not too concerned if these two solar panels are identical. It would be nice if they were, but then we would have to take a lot of time to measure, and it just makes an easy project complicated. So if they're different sizes, such as mine are different sizes, it's okay. I'm going to go right in here and put two lines. And I want this to be the same on both sides. It's not perfectly symmetrical, which means exactly the same on both sides, but it's going to be sort of symmetrical. So try to line them up. And if you don't get it, it's okay. I'm going to come around like that, and I'm going to come around like that. And then I'm going to stretch these lines out until I get back to the first shape we drew, that large square. One, two, 1, 2. I think I've got room for a couple more, so I'm going to do that on both sides. I'm going to put large dots. I call them black circle dots. They're round like a circle. They're thick, and they're black. All right, now the next part will be to put a frame around this solar collector to make it more rigid or solid. So I'm going to come off of this corner and start a line this way. I'm watching that spacing. The secret to parallel lines is to watch that spacing. Now, parallel lines are just two lines that travel in the same direction, but they're apart from each other. Watch that spacing. If yours isn't perfect, I got some great news. It doesn't have to be perfect. Here we go. Okay, we've got a frame all the way around. Now let's do it again on this other side. Now, if this art project were something that needed to be if it was critically important and had to be perfectly correct, I would take the time to measure and get everything exactly the way it is. But when you're doing art, it's okay if something that goes a little bit wrong, because sometimes it's just not that important. And anybody that looks at this, that sees all this technical stuff, is going to say, wow, that's cool. At least I hope that's what they say. I'm going to put dots in the corners, and I'll have to do that 8 times. Now, one in the middle, one in the middle. What I do on one side, I'm going to try to do it the same on the other side. One in the middle, one in the middle, two more times. These are like rivets or bolts that hold things together, and I'm just indicating those. We're not trying to draw a lot of detail there. In the middle of that space, see, we've got a space. When we divided that up, now we have two spaces. I'm going in the middle of those, and it's a really good way to train your eye to see proportion, that is, the relationship between the sizes of things. Now, I know proportion is not a word you're probably going to use a whole lot, but it just means the relationship between the size of shapes or objects. I kind of like that, so I think I'm going to go up here and put a few dots on this piece up here. All right, I'm going to put two little rectangular shapes like that, one on each side. And I'm going to hook that around like that. I'm going to hook that around like that. And now we've got room for instrument panels and knobs and different things here. So let's start with something in the middle that goes like that, a nice flat line. And let's put a rainbow shape over that. I don't think we're going to double these lines because there's just not really enough room to do it well. So I'm going to put a little arrow or a little pointer right there, like that. Now, if you don't get yours like a little triangle, that's fine. I'll get into where you can see that a little bit better. Just any kind, even a straight line would work. Now, if that's a gauge, it would be pointing at numbers or marks. So let's put a few marks on there like this. I'm going to go right in here and put a rectangle, and once again, since I did it over there, I'm going to do it over here. Now, you wouldn't have to. A satellite does not have to be symmetrical. Now, some little wires, and don't be confused by that. They just come out, bend, and then hook on it. Yours can bend anyway. It doesn't really matter. Now, a lot of these satellites would be wrapped in foil, reflective foil, to protect them from the harsh radiation that comes straight off of the sun. We're not going to show any of that because, well, it would be extremely difficult to do and to make it look right. I'm going to line this off like a football field. You don't have to count the lines, but try to keep the spacing about the same. And then when you color this could be blue. Actually, let me talk about color for just a little bit. Gold, or that is orange. Use oranges and blues and black on your satellite. And then in the empty space around it, which would just be outer space, make it gray. Now, I know it probably would be black, but it's going to be very difficult to color that evenly with a black crayon or even with a color pencil. It's going to be extremely difficult. So it's art, and we're going to make a little exception to reality. That is what's real. It really is black. We're going to make it gray because in art we want it to look good, even if we have to, make it a little bit different than what's real to make it look good. It's okay. It's art. That's what you do. I might try to come back across with 3 more lines like that. Now, this can be confusing. Get too many lines going too many different ways, and it gets confusing. But if you get a few lines one way and a few the other way, I think it'll give the effect we're looking for. All right, now these antennas would probably be coming from every different direction. So let's go down on the bottom and let's put a couple more like this. Now when they worked on these things, there would be something on the bottom of this, and they would put a pole up in it or mount it on something, and it would stand up, so they could work on it. And then when they pack this all up and shoot it up in a rocket, it's just all folded up. And when it gets in outer space, it unfolds itself, and then it twists itself around to collect energy from the sun, or the people on Earth that control it possibly do that. And then it starts to operate. They turn it on, and you've got maybe GPS or something that looks at the clouds to give you a weather forecast. So they're used for so many different things. What can we do at the bottom? I think I'm just going to make a rectangle here and put some straight lines like this. And then down here, I'm going to put a few more of these. Maybe a row of circles. And you don't have to count them. It would be great if those were evenly spaced, but they're not, and I'm not going to worry about it. Maybe a short antenna here and a short antenna there. And hey, we've got a satellite. Now we could show the Earth, but it would be far away. It would be maybe just, I'll tell you what, we won't show the whole Earth. We'll just show like an arc of the Earth, like that. And maybe a few lines for the land and maybe the Arctic Circle or whatever. Then you could leave that white, make these green, blue for there. And it would have been better if that was centered up. But it's okay. It's going to work. Okay, now you might see the sun. You could put the sun up there. I think I'm not going to do that. But all this out here would be gray. And then the satellite itself would be black and blue and orange. For example, these panels could be blue. And then this could be a black frame, or this could be black, and that could be a blue frame. So go ahead and pick out your own colors. I really recommend the blue and the orange and the black with a gray background. All right, let's just a few more last details. We're going to show the rivets that hold these side panels together. And I'm just going to put them all the way around. It just takes a minute or two. You don't have to count them. You don't really even have to get the spacing perfect. And if you want to leave these off, that's okay. It just makes it look, I don't know, maybe more technical, more sophisticated. And I like it. All right, there we go. We've got us a satellite. And I hope you enjoyed the drawing today. And if you have a cell phone, or someone in your family has a cell phone, or you've ever been in a car and they were going somewhere by GPS, or you've ever watched the weather and you hear the word Doppler radar, all these things happen because we've got satellites in outer space that are looking down upon us and getting signals from us and sending signals back, information. Without satellites, the life that we know and the way we live it right now would change dramatically. Everything would be so different if we did not have these satellites. And there are over 2,700 satellites that are operating right now, maybe even more, because that number grows all the time. And there are maybe 3,000 that they've already done what they went up there to do, and we just turned them off. Now we have a name for them. We call them space junk. And they're small, and they're way out there. But anyway, when a satellite is no longer useful, they just turn it off, and it'll just float around out there for who knows how long. All right, hope it was fun. Enjoy coloring and take your time. Keep it neat.
you.